Hi knitters! Welcome back to Aro Knits and Purls. I'm your host Aro of Aro Knits and Purls. As always, find my Instagram, Ravelry, Ko-Fi, Patreon, linked in the description below, as well as links to any dyers, makers, designers that I talk about. And yes, it is me. However, I'm like partially shaded. It's that time of year in Salt Lake City where winter is like for real winter. So the sun is about to go down in probably like less than an hour, and I'm fighting with what light I have, but also it's still bright, so I'm like using my light filtration curtains, which have beautiful embroidery on them. And the embroidery is casting shadows on my face. So if it looks weird, if I look weird, it's probably the shadow. If you're like, no, it's not the shadow, then it's just me and I look weird. So yeah. Thank you guys for the warm welcome back. I know it had been a while, but I'm back to my normal schedule, which is every 2 weeks. For those of you who are new, I record at least every 2 weeks, unless there's, big things happening, like when I went to Korea for 3 weeks. That was kind of a big thing. Okay, but anyway, I'm back. I'm gonna talk about knitting stuff. I have a lot to talk about. A lot of stuff has been happening. Okay, so first, what I'm wearing. I am wearing my Dear Duomo. This is by Seunghee Knits, and I test knit this earlier this year. I don't think I wore it in a video. I think I just showed it to you guys. So I'm happy to wear it now because it is one of my favorite sweaters to just throw on over a pair of jeans with a long skirt, which is, I like long skirts these days, like midi skirts, like that's the kind I'm wearing now. And it's a pleated one. It's a ridiculous shade of magenta pink that goes perfectly with this. I got this from Korea. My aunt gave it to me because it was too small for her. But anyway, so it goes perfectly with this color. And the colorway is Hawari Bazaar Co.'s Sugar Cookie. And she brought it as a winter colorway in, I believe, 2020, which is when I ordered it. And I didn't use it until earlier this year because I am obsessed with this. Like, it's so cute. It's this beautiful pinky beige neutral. And there's depth to it. So like you'll see like lighter beige spots. And then obviously the pops of color. There's blue. There's this beautiful like chartreusey green, yellow, browns, pinks, obviously. And when I wear it with my skirt, this ridiculous pink skirt, it really makes the pink pop. So I love this. And the design itself, it's just so classic, so flattering, and there are beautiful little details. I love the folded over hem. And Seunghee Knits gave a really detailed instruction, and if I remember correctly, a video on the folded over hem. So if it's something you've been wanting to try, cannot recommend it more. Like, it's just, love it. Okay, so that's what I'm wearing, and I wore this specifically because the dyer, Hawari Bazaar Co., I wanted to talk about her again just right now. So if you guys remember, it's been a while since I've shown you this. It has changed a lot since I've shown it to you guys. I think when I last had it, it was like not even fully a muscle top yet because I hadn't finished the body. But the body's finished, and let's talk about the sleeve. This sweater has been a comedy of errors for me. First off, the sweater is called the Dad Sweater by Emily Curtis, or MW Kurt on Instagram. Emily is lovely. She's a sweet human being. She works at Shop La Mercerie, and I'm very jealous of her life because it looks beautiful. But again, everybody's life looks beautiful on Instagram, because that's the point of it, right? We share the nice things. So I don't know how she lives, really, but from what I see, it's lovely. From what I see, it's perfect, and I'm very jealous. And she has this beautiful aesthetic, and I'm obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with her. Sorry, I'm gushing again. I tend to do that for new people. I tend to do that. So my B. Okay, but Emily Curtis, so it's called the Dad Sweater, and it's inspired by the good feeling that she had in her dad sweater when she would wear them when she was growing up. And I talked about this when I first cast on. I don't have warm, fuzzy feelings about my father. I've talked about it at length before. I don't want to get into it again, but it's not awesome. But I do have warm, fuzzy feelings for anything involving my mom. I talk about her a lot. I bring her up a lot. And so I wanted to do the mom sweater, basically. So I am using her design, Emily Curtis's design. I'm test knitting it, but I'm calling my version the mom sweater by using a color by Hawari Bazaar Co. See, it all links, it all comes back, Hawari Bazaar Co. This is the colorway Moonlight Densetsu, and I have been showing you guys that color since I first got it when I first started this podcast, and it is so gorgeous. Like, can you guys see it, right? It's stunning. And let me just say, I didn't alternate skeins at any point in this project, and so far it's not served me wrong. Like, obviously you can tell there's a bit more speckling in this area than in this area, but there's no large area of pooling that makes me regret not alternating skeins. And generally, I do recommend, if you are using indie dyed yarn and you haven't developed the eye to see a skein caked up and realize like, oh, this is gonna be way more speckly or way more pooly than the other skeins. Like, if you have developed that eye, generally you don't need to alternate because you trust your judgment, right? But if you are new to indie dyed yarn or haven't developed that sense yet, maybe alternate skeins. And what I like to do is I like to just alternate every row, and that way I don't have to weave in anything. Some people like alternate every 2 rows, every 3 rows. Some people don't at all, ever. Or some people do something called helical knitting. Like it's like you work in a helix, that's the term. So like you never have to technically alternate. I don't know how that works. I've never tried it. I have found the alternating every row system to be fine, but I mean, if you give me the option between using 1 skein of yarn and using 2 skeins of yarn at a time, I'm always going to pick the one if there's not going to be a visual difference, which, you know, this looks fine. So that's what I did. I didn't alternate, and it's done me real well. And it's not finished. This design, the Dad Sweater by Emily Curtis, comes out in just a couple days. However, mine is not finished because I realized I lost the last skein in Korea. I bought 5 skeins, which is more than enough to finish this sweater. I don't know where the 5th one is. And I weighed the project without the needles and everything, and I am not at 500 grams, so I know that I didn't use that 5th skein. But here we are. So that was the first error. I have ordered the last skein from Hawari Bazaar, Corinne. She's based in Michigan, and she's very lovely. And I reached out to her, and she does have the pre-order for this up on her website right now. So that was good. So I'm gonna get it. I don't know when, but I'm sure soon. She said she's gonna start working on it right away. So thank you, Corinne, for real. Because I really want to wear this. It's so pretty. But yeah, so I lost that last skein in Korea. No idea where it is. And then the other comedy of error issue, the sleeve is just too much fabric for me. It'll look different, I think, if I blocked it. However, usually when it's something like this happens, when I notice something, even if it gets better after blocking, it's always gonna bother me. Like every time I wore this, it would bother me because it just looked like too much extra fabric, and I kind of already have slopey shoulders. I'm not a very angular person. So I have slopey shoulders, and like when there's a lot of fabric in the back, you can tell it doesn't look, you know, it's not the most flattering is what I'm trying to say. So it would bother me, and so that's why I went all the way through, tried it on, and then realized, yeah, this isn't gonna work for me. So that's why I left this where it is, because I wanted to show you guys and talk about it. And then I've picked up for the second one using much, much fewer stitches, and I already love the look of this better. Like, I think this is gonna be better for me. Which isn't to say it's the pattern's fault. I chose to do the broad shoulder version. So Emily, she did 2 versions. There's like the normal narrow shoulders for women's silhouettes. And then the broad shoulder version is actually based on male clothing charts. So difference, right? Like men tend to have broader shoulders than women. And I chose the broad shouldered one because my entire life I've been told I have big shoulders. So I guess like that complex was like, oh, well, yes, I must do the big shoulder version because I am big shouldered. And then I tried it on, I was like, no, I don't like this. So maybe my shoulders are not as big as I've been told. But I've mentioned in my stories, like, I was told this growing up, and South Koreans tend to have a very distorted image of body. Like, thinness. I think it's not a crazy generalization for me to say Koreans tend to be obsessed with thinness. So I am considered basically plus size when I go in Korea, which like I'm not plus size. I'm not. But anyway, all that to say, my shoulders aren't as broad as I thought. So that's why the sleeve doesn't work for me. It's not that the pattern, there's anything wrong with the pattern. It's just the version I was doing, the broad shouldered one, is based off of male measurements. And turns out I'm not the male measurement of the size 3, which I am test knitting. So that's all that happened. It's not Emily's fault. It's my own fault for thinking, well, I don't want to say fault. I chose the wrong size. That's all. So I'm redoing the sleeve and I'm much happier now. And even though it's like a bigger version of the sleeve, I did want to talk about, I love the silhouette of this sleeve because as you can see, it does those decreases pretty dramatically at the end, but it's very incremental here. I love that. I think it's gonna be super flattering. And every tester's version that I've seen looks so good on them, looks so good. That's why I was devastated when I realized I lost that last skein, so I wouldn't be able to finish on time, which was like super sad because I really wanted to wear it. Cause like this color, you guys, it's so cute. But yeah, so I was sad about that, but you know, everything's okay. It's gonna be okay. I'll make it. I've already put in the order for that last skein. I don't want to say extra skein because I shouldn't have needed extra. I didn't need extra. I just needed the amount that I bought. It just so happens that I lost it. It's fine. It's fine. I'm not bitter about it. Not bitter. Anyway. Okay, then the other thing I have been so behind on. I've been behind on a lot of knits because I didn't get to knit for like 3 weeks while I was in Korea, right? This one is the memory sweater. The last time I showed it to you guys, it was still like not separated for sleeves yet. I have separated for sleeves. I'm a couple inches into the body. It's still scrunchied on these tiny needles because like I told you guys, I am out of needles. I'm out of needles. But yeah. So to remind you, for those of you who don't remember, those of you who are just joining me, hi. This yellow is Explorer Knits Celtic Harp from her Ireland collection, and the main body is 2 strands of her she does not do mohair, she does Surrey. Ali does Surrey. Okay, so 2 strands held double together of Surrey from Explorer Knits in the colorway Murphy's Brown Bread, and it's this beautiful golden brown speckled neutral. I'm obsessed with it. Everybody who sees this is like, I want that, and I don't blame them because I think this time my yarn choice was just chef's kiss. Yeah, so I'm very happy with it. I have to get going on it. Yeah, but yeah, so that's the thing. Oh, I should tell you who it's by. Camellia Fiber Company. Sylvia of Camellia Fiber Company. So the pattern is not out yet as far as I'm aware. It's not out yet, but it will be out very soon. I'm just really, really late on this. Okay, and the last thing I wanted to show you, this is the only finished object I have to show you guys. Do you remember my lake sweater by Ozetta? I finished it less than a week after I recorded. Actually, it was really funny because I recorded this episode, and then a couple days later, my friend Andrea, the Knitting BT, and I were doing a knit night, and I was already done with the body by that point, and it was just a couple days after the episode, and she was like, how are you doing this though so fast? And then a couple days after that, I had finished the sweater altogether, and she messaged me and she's like, what is this witchcraft? And it's just because I really, really, really wanted to make the deadline, and I did. I made the deadline. So the Lake's Pullover by Ozetta is out, and it is lovely. So I chose to make a heavy version. It uses worsted weight and mohair the way I did it. I think it's written just for a worsted, so if you held a DK with mohair, it would be on gauge. I did have to gauge swatch, so I did have to do some extra work into the weight. So I tend not to gauge swatch, for those of you who know me already. I don't gauge swatch. I tend to live my life by vibe and then deal with the consequences later. But when I'm using yarn that is different than the one called for, like different weight altogether, I will do some extra work and figure out if I'm on gauge. And when I say I gauge swatch, what I actually mean is I'll start knitting and then actually like measure it a couple inches in instead of just finishing it and then figuring it out later. So that's what I mean when I say a gauge swatch. I don't actually make a separate square. I'm like really bad about planning things like that. Yeah, so if you are a very fastidious knitter, I'm probably not your gal, just saying. Yeah, so the Lakes pullover, it starts with saddle shoulders. Like you knit this little rectangle in the middle, you knit just the rectangle plain, and then you pick up for the front and back later on. And then you join the back. There are short rows. Yeah, there were short rows, right? Yeah, there were short rows. So the back is higher. You can tell which is the front and back. And then the front, you do increases along here. And then you join front and back. And I think when I had shown this to you guys, I like just joined front and back maybe, or maybe not even that. Anyway, it's been a while, yeah. But I finished it, it's lovely. The yarn I used, for those of you who wanna know, is Fibre Co in the colorway Peony Season. It's this lovely pinky neutral variegated gorgeousness. And I held it with a strand of Biche Bouche, Le Petite Mohair, so that's just their lace weight mohair silk blend. And the colorway, I talked about it last episode and I'm still mad about it. They call it nude pink. It is in no way pink. It is in no way pink. Their nude pink, quote unquote, is really just like a beige yarn. It looks undyed. It's beige yarn, but they call it nude pink anyway. But it really goes well with the yarn that I chose. Again, that's Seunghee Fiber Company, and she's lovely. She's a Canadian dyer. She's based in Canada, so for all of my northern friends, you really should check her out. Love her. But yeah, so it's big and cozy. I really love big and cozy sweaters, especially in the winter time, because I commute to work. I take the little light rail system in Salt Lake, the tracks, and I go into work and it's freezing. Like this past week, it's been 35 degrees when I commute, and on a good day. So it's very cold. So big cozy sweaters, that is what I'm looking for, especially in the office too. It's still cold. But anyway, that's what I have finished in the time since I've seen you guys. And I wanted to talk real quick about, well, I started talking about it last episode, my quickly developing Christmas plans. So I should say holiday. I say Christmas for me because I don't actually like celebrate the religious aspect of the holidays. I don't consider myself a religious person. You know, if this is overshare, I'm sorry. But I don't, but like I grew up calling it, you know, Christmas. So when I say like my Christmas plans, that's what I mean. I'm not saying that everybody has Christmas plans or everybody should celebrate Christmas or anything like that. But my winter plans have become a lot busier than I expected because Explorer Knits, I hinted to you guys that I would be going back this winter. And the reason why is because she's doing a winter market. It is her first in-studio event for the public. So when I visited her in June, it was just me, just visiting as a special treat as a friend, which was lovely. If you haven't seen my Denver episode, I highly recommend it because I did see Explorer Knits studio and Woolberry Fiber Company studio. Those were amazing experiences. But yeah, so this is like her first intro to the public studio event, and I really wanted to go. So I have talked my friend Megan into going with me to Denver for that weekend. That's December 10th. Allie is doing that event. But then Bethany also announced she's doing a winter event. And hers is the weekend before that, the first weekend of December. And somehow I have convinced my friend Megan to also go to that. The original plan was that we would drive and then camp outside because I actually love camping outside, like of events and whatever. Like I camp in front of record stores when there's like a really important release. I've done it like 4 times already. I genuinely don't mind it. Even on a really cold day, like I'm so good at layering for these things. Like I have a whole system, I have a whole outfit, like it's a big thing. But anyway, I was prepared to do that for Allie and Bethany this time as well, but I would have to drive there to Denver, and the drive to Denver from Salt Lake we're just a state away. Like we're right next, Utah is right next to Colorado, but it takes a bit of a treacherous route. There are 2 ways to do it, and both ways are really treacherous in the wintertime, because the north way, like there's like 80-mile-per-hour winds up in Wyoming, so I don't trust my car to withstand that. And then the south way goes through a mountain pass, so it gets really treacherous with winter weather as well. So I was like, okay, we might be risking our lives for this, but it sounds worth it. Let's do it. That was the first plan. But then I started thinking about it, and I was like, wouldn't it just be easier to fly? And like, yes, it's not as convenient to have my own car, and I could rent a car, of course, but car rentals are so expensive these days. But anyway, the whole point is, I realize I'm rambling. I am going to see Bethany at Woolberry Fiber Co. for her winter pop-up event. I will be there first thing in the morning. I will be there first thing in the morning, along with my friend Megan. And then we'll probably grab lunch around in the area. There's this restaurant I've heard of called Birdhouse, which has like a Japanese Mexican fusion ramen and taco dishes, and I love both of those things so much. I love that idea. So we'll probably go eat there, and then we'll go back to Bethany's studio because at 5 p.m. she's doing a knit night there in person, and I would love to see you guys there. So if you are in the Denver area, or you're planning on traveling in for that weekend to see her, or you know, just traveling in just for fun, please do stop by Bethany's studio. She put the address in one of her stories, and I believe that's shared on a reel, like it's saved on a reel on Instagram. But that's going to be in Erie, Colorado, December 2nd, Friday night, Friday at 5 p.m. I will be there. I'll also be there in the morning at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. I'll be there for that too, but definitely for both times. So if you're planning on seeing Bethany around that time, I would love to see you guys. That's my point. And then the winter market for Allie of Explorer Knits, I will be there the following weekend. I can't believe I'm doing 2 weekends of December in Denver. Yeah. It definitely wasn't, like, I knew I wanted to go to Allie's event, but this Bethany event, like, just totally took me by surprise. And of course, I've rearranged my entire life to make it happen because I want it to happen. Yeah, I love the fiber scene in Denver. There's really lots of amazing dyers there. And I can't wait to see more of it. Yeah, so hope to see you all there. That's really all the plans that I have for the winter. This isn't a long episode, so I apologize if you were, oh wait, oh my God. Forget everything I'm saying. If you've already X'd out of the video, you're missing out, because I realized hidden behind my light filtering curtain, I have more yarn to show you. So my friend Megan is planning a D-stash. I went to her house. So I love organizing yarn, as you can tell. I love organizing yarn. And Megan does not like organizing yarn. She tends to put it all on her floor of her yarn room. Yes, she has a yarn room. I have a yarn corner. She has a yarn room. And it's massive. If you saw in my stories, it is massive. And her yarn collection is only rivaled by her bag collection. I call Megan the bag lady because every time she comes to hang out, she brings like 3 or 4 bags with her. And I see now that her actual collection is even more massive than I thought. Her bag collection is just ridiculous. So she's planning a huge D-stash of yarn and bags that she's just not in love with anymore. And she was gonna D-stash this one, but I claimed it first because it is so cute. And I actually don't have a lot of Christmassy bags. I just have 1 or 2. And as someone who loves the Christmas season, I thought I should have more. And I think this one is adorable. I love woodland forest creatures, especially foxes and squirrels. They're my favorite. And this one is just adorable. It is from Minnie Moon. Minnie Moon. I don't think she makes bags like this anymore, which is why Megan was like not sure she wanted to get rid of it or not. But it has a leather strap and it has drawstrings. I don't like zippered bags because I work so much with mohair and suri, and those are lace weight, so they can get caught in zippers very, very easily. So that's why I like drawstring. And I'm very, very happy that I now have this beautiful Christmassy bag to use in the wintertime when I go see y'all in Denver. I hope many of you will be there in Denver. I really do. So I got that. And then Megan also, while I was in Korea for the last week, she was in Denmark. And I have always wanted to go to Denmark. Always wanted to go to Denmark. And I was really jealous. But she was a dear and she got me some yarn. So this was at a little yarn shop she went to. And this is 100% pure silk. I have never used pure silk before, and it feels incredible. I've used a 50 merino, 50 silk before, and I thought that was nuts. This is just like, I just want to rub it on my face for an hour. Like, it's so soft, and that sheen, you guys, like, you see how there's like no light anymore? There's no light, yet this is glowing, right? Okay, so the maker, I don't know Danish. Like, there's some overlap between German and Danish, and so I can pick out words, but they got all kinds of different symbols in their alphabet that German doesn't have, so I don't know it. So I don't want to pronounce this wrong, but Sysleriget? That's the little website. You can go there, and again, it's going to be linked in the description below. But this colorway is called Coral Cure, and I am obsessed. It'll make the most amazing summertime tee because silk is a summer-friendly fiber. I've talked about it in many of my summer episodes, but yes, so this is going to be amazing. I feel very, very loved because I was not expecting her to get me a gift while she was in Denmark. And she also got me this really, really cute leather, I think it's pleather actually, which I like even more. But it's faux leather, and it's a really cute like butterfly embossed tape measure. And I don't know about you guys, but I always need tape measures. Like, always. I lose them everywhere. Or I put them in one project bag and I'll take the other one out with me, and then I'll be like, I didn't bring my tape measure, oh my god. So yes, I always need tape measures, and this one is so cute. I love butterflies these days. I didn't like butterflies growing up. I think it's because they're bugs, and when I see their face, I'm like, oh no, that's a bug. No, thank you. I don't like bugs. I have a phobia. Anyway, but it's so cute, and I love that it's retractable. I love retractable tape measures. I don't even know why they make the ones where you have to hold it anymore. Why do we do that? As a society, have we not evolved past that need? She says, dramatically pressing the button to make it retract. Anyway, yeah, so this is another thing from Denmark, and I love it. And then the last thing that I want to show you is, I don't know if you guys heard, but Shop La Mercerie got an exclusive colorway from Spincycle, and it sold out so quick. And Megan, being the rock star that she is always, like, she kept it secret, because I remember I was chatting with her while I was in Korea, like, oh man, I tried to get that color, but I missed it, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, I got it for you. But she didn't tell me until I saw her in person. And that's this colorway, okay? So this colorway is called, is it Pale September? Is that the one? Yeah, La Mercerie exclusive, Pale September. It says right there, La Mercerie exclusive. And it is beautiful. Like, it's the colors that I want to see in my perfect sunset. I talked to you guys about how sunset can be a bit too garish for me. I want it a little bit more subtle. And I feel like this is my version of a sunset. It's so beautiful. Those warm tones. And I don't know what I'm going to make with it. It's obviously not enough to make a full sweater. I would want to use it as a contrast color. I don't know what yet, but love it. I'm obsessed. It's gorgeous. Yes. So now we are at a decent time to end the episode. And if you guys closed the video before I got to this, because of my fake out, my accidental fake out, you won't be hearing this, so I'm sorry. But I am sorry. But yeah, thank you guys for sticking around. Really, really happy to be back to my normal routine. And I hope to have more finished objects for you guys next time, assuming I get that last skein of yarn to finish that one sweater. But anyway, it's been great. Love y'all. And I hope to talk to you very, very soon and see you in Denver, hopefully. But yeah, okay, bye.